midnight see. I been the H and I see, don't step to me.
Open up that program, hit you with the
Got that ambrosia.
Know you wanna say I'm crazy.
They relying on me, so I gotta blow. But I'm blocking that noise if it's not the flow. I want it bad, don't you know? It's more than
Aaron
a
from
fan. I'm
Beatmix
on the road.
Sound.
They relying on me,
This is
so I gotta blow.
the first video of our behind the beat, behind the mix videos, where we take you behind the scenes of a few songs off of our album Joy Comes in the Morning. We're going to start off with a song called Shame. Just overall, thank you for all the support you've given Dom and I. I know we worked really hard. This album was special to us, and so we really appreciate you guys giving us such awesome feedback. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback for Shame, so it seemed like a natural place to start. So, working in FL Studio. I'm a big fan of FL Studio just for the patterns that you can just paste everywhere in the layout. For hip-hop stuff, I'm usually working in FL Studio. For other stuff, I work in Ableton, and obviously I mix everything in Pro Tools. But FL is big for me for all the hip-hop stuff we do. So you'll see a lot of my methods are just combining samples that I've cut up and instruments I'm playing, but this one is majority samples and then some drums. So we start off with this sample right here. It's just a little loop, the backbone of the record. And that thing goes the whole time. This is the one record on the album that doesn't have a hi-hat, doesn't have a kick. And I wanted to do that because, with the subject matter, it just everything else ends up going into some sort of a groove, and I just didn't want that. So I instead was just like, all right, we got to figure out how to build this song up. So as you can see, you can kind of visually see it as the song kind of builds and adds more elements. About halfway through verse 1, we're going to add this little sample right here. All the effects in here are just, really just for kind of bouncing out demos. They aren't the final effects I used on the record. They just kind of give me some sort of idea of where we're going. Right before the first hook, this little reverse guitar sample comes in. So you put that all together. Fan of this part because it sounds like we're building up to something. Like I can already feel a natural push-pull of the record, and we just kind of drop out here. The sample is only in the hook. You'll notice it's actually in just the left ear right now. Just kind of how the sample was. I'll show you what I did with that later. That is a big deal for me. Just having that sample literally only lives in the hook, and it's there to kind of stop the build that started here. Going into verse 2, I needed to add a timekeeper of some sort, and so I added a very verbed out snare. It's actually not my usual snare tone. I'm not really sure. I messed with it a lot in Pro Tools. I'm not sure why I chose this. I think I just wanted something different, something that I could work with. But obviously the second verse is building up, so we're going to add our kind of Moog synth. So it comes in here. So we're kind of in the process of building up to something here. And then we're going to add these two samples right here. And we're also going to add the double octaves for the Moog. So I've already got I'm kind of still feeling push and pull in my head. pull there. And obviously we kind of drop out. Or at least it'd be obvious if you heard the record. Otherwise, it's not obvious. We do drop out there. So that's kind of, again, I'm not really looking for things to sound perfect. I just want a start to take to recording. So we'll take it to Pro Tools. This is my typical workflow here. Oh, there we go. Vocals in Carolina Blue, go heels. Any sample-based thing I will put in purple. Any played instrument, or whether it's I'm playing through a VST or whatever, goes in light green. Drums go in yellow, bass goes in red, and then my auxes or my buses, depending on which DAW you're familiar with, goes here, and then my master fader right here. So you'll see that kind of push and pull section that I showed you is going to turn into something more.
I'm sick to
I'm automating this Moog Sense volume with the kind of push and pull that I'm wanting. Let's see right here. And I'm also automating the saturation knob. Shout out to Softube, this thing's awesome. I'm doing I usually saturate an 808 or a bass, anything, just a little bit on the low end to give it some harmonics. But I'm really crunching this high end as well, as you'll see right here. So now this push and pull as we get closer. Happening instrumentally. Also, if you remember that sample that was just on the left side, it's here now. But I've made it mono. And then I have also added a ping pong delay. So it kind of gives this subtle effect in the first chorus. It's not subtle when it's soloed, but when you add it in context, and add the vocals.
I don't know. I close my eyes for a minute. Where'd she go? Turned to stone.
Obviously, a lot of things going on vocally. When I record, I'm running Wavestune and Wavestune Real Time. When I record, I will leave it on and set my settings before I even start, and then just throw headphones on. I'm essentially trying to play auto-tune like an instrument. Just has a lot of cool effects. You can see some of my vocal chain stuff going on here, and then my vocal bus, which somehow is still labeled Dom, even though it's not him, but it's just how I leave it. And I'm really trying to keep the listener interested, especially in a song like this where there's not a ton going on. So in the first hook, you will hear a quarter note delay right here.
How could I have known? I don't know. I close my eyes for a minute. Where'd she go? Turned to stone. Or was it like that all along? I don't know.
I'm really pumped about what happens in verse 2 here. So as everything's kind of building up, the vocals are going to get very busy very quickly. So what's going to happen is that I'm automating up a quarter note delay again. I'm also automating a ping pong delay as we get closer. I'm not automating volume. I was like, I'm pretty sure I didn't automate volume. All right, good talk. I'm also automating the saturation knob and doubling just a little bit. Actually, that's a little more. That's a good amount. So as you'll hear as we kind of build up here.
Make that car makes me sick, and all those songs give me fits. Memories of all these trips. Now I feel trapped, chained to this. My head and my heart on two different pages. I'm trying my best, but this is outrageous. The knife in my...
You'll see as we go right here, my vocals are going to get more distorted, and the delay is just going to go a little nuts here.
My mind, trying to trust you. I lower my head, I will get to you. I sprint at the wall and try to break through. My head hits the wall and I fall on my face. All I see is red as I pass out and drift.
Clearly. And I'm really just trying to follow along with the song, with the melody that's going up, with the message that's going on here. I'm really trying to accent that. So when you put it all together,
what else am I supposed to do? I'm losing my breath, trying to love you. I'm losing my mind, trying to trust you. I lower my head, I will get to you. I sprint at the wall and try to break through. My head hits the wall and I fall on my face. All I see is red as I pass out and drift away.
so it creates a really powerful moment where I'm just kind of trying to make the instrumentation and the effects match the message there. So it's one of my favorite parts of the album from a mixing perspective. So that's a rundown for you. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you next time. See you.